right now on the flip side, we're going to revolutionize your summer. We've got some practical ideas that are going to make you laugh more and connect to God and each other more this summer. So join us for some great practical ideas about making the most of this summer on episode 40, The Flip Side. Hey everyone, welcome to The Flip Side. It's episode 40 and I am joined by everyone's favorite Flip Side guest. The Canes are here.
Hey man, we're glad to be here.
And I got both of them on the same Flip Side episode.
Yeah.
Usually I have Jason and then we want to get the likes way up, so we have Stephanie the next week. And but now we got both the Canes on.
Exactly.
And we got a really special topic. We're going to talk about how to make your summer spiritual. I was saying a sermon a couple weeks ago, Jason, I said, don't take a vacation from God in the summer, take a vacation to God in the summer.
Good.
And I've had sometimes summer has been the most spiritual time in my whole year. I've slowed down, I've prayed more, I've worshiped more, I've just connected to God more. And sometimes I get to the end of my summer and go, man, I'm filled up with hot dogs and baked beans, but no Jesus. And there's something that just went south for me in terms of like my personal connection to God. It's even more multiplied in a family sense. I think as the way the parents go, the whole family goes spiritually.
No doubt.
So here's the question I got for you, and I want both of you to chime in. Why can summer be a more difficult season spiritually for both individuals and families?
You first.
Smart man,
We're teaching you. Just watch our method.
By the way, you guys that follow the Flip Side regularly, don't. Haley's got. Is it done?
It's done.
Okay.
Oh, yum.
So let's talk and pour at the same time, and then we'll ask Haley what the coffee is. But go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, I think that we often look to God to help us get through things. And during the year, when you're working and you're just on that mode, you're leaning on God to help get you through. And then when the vacation time comes, which I think is just normal human nature, you're thinking, oh, things are okay. I'm actually going to be having a lot of fun. I don't need God. So it's this fallacy, this false thinking that we should only turn to God when we really need Him. But when we're doing okay, we can go ahead and kind of take a break. When really, when we're relaxing, that's the time when we don't have all the clutter. We can actually hear God more clearly during that break period.
So it's using God as that crisis God instead of the everyday God.
Yeah.
That's very good. Jason, you got to answer that question. Why?
I mean, not one that's much better than what Stephanie has already said, but I mean, I think anytime
By the way, that's probably going to be true for a lot of
exactly. Anytime we get out of routine, then
that's it.
Something that was part of our routine gets neglected. And so unfortunately, I think during the summertime, all routine goes out the door. We're traveling.
Yes.
We're spending time with family and friends. We have July 4th coming up. We're doing all of these different things. And if part of your routine is spending time with God, and you quickly get out of that routine, then you won't miss them, and it's easy for you to drift away.
It's just simple as travel a lot of times. And I really, really like that answer because I believe that we think we need a break from routine.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm having a break from there. You know what you need a break from? Not as many meetings.
Right.
But we need to keep the routine. And you need kind of, that book Habits, it talks about how everyone has routines. There's deliberate routines and there's undeliberate routines. And we get into summer, we get into an undeliberate routine and we give up some of the routines that are giving us life in that feeling of like, I need a break and a vacation from that.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point is we don't look at, when we turn to God and we have prayer and meditation and reading in our routine, that is a part of self-care. We don't break out of brushing our teeth. We don't break out of washing our hair.
Some of us don't.
I'd like to think brushing our teeth, washing our hair, getting dressed.
It's a great way
all
of
these are things that we don't ever break out of. We should put our connection with God as part of that. You won't stop brushing your teeth. Don't stop praying. It's
Kelly and I this morning. Of course, we don't have anyone to bring to school anymore because my daughter graduated. So we're done bringing people to school.
Congrats,
I hope you all get there someday. But it's funny, this has happened to us every summer too. The second we don't have to bring someone to school, I'll go outside and usually go outside, do my devotions, and I take one circle around and I work on the plants because the plants obey me, Stephanie. They're the only ones that obey me. True. If you give them water and fertilizer, they do exactly what you ask.
Yeah.
Everyone else is complicated. The plants are my friends. But what happened is Kelly will come out and have her devotions too. And then we'll have, the schedule slows down. We'll have like 15 minutes just to sit there and talk and know and it's so nice. And I thought, my dad was over for the weekend too. The same thing happened. I would go out there and he'd be out there and I was like, I just need more of this. Yeah. I need 15 minutes at the beginning of the day to not just connect with God, but to connect with my wife or my kids or my dad and just have zero agenda time for some person-to-person connection.
Yeah.
So my other little theory on this is I think transition moments is what screws us up. So, end of school year to summer break, 4th grade to 5th grade, one job to another job, spring to summer. All of those little moments they're disruptive to our healthy routines, or they're opportunities to be more deliberate and strategic about our routines. And oftentimes we let them boss us around and they become disruptive to our routines. So
yeah, I think it's all about intentionality. That's what you're talking about. Going from 4th to 5th grade, you have an opportunity to be intentional. And transitioning from one job to another job, you have an opportunity to be intentional. And if you miss that intentionality, if you don't take advantage of the opportunity to be intentional, then you kind of take what comes your way. So whatever happens, happens. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. But in the summertime, if you make a commitment that I'm going to keep my relationship with God strong, there's some intentional things you can do in the summer that'll prepare you for it when the fall comes back around so that you'll already be on routine. It's not like you're gaining momentum when you start.
All right, let's brainstorm and be specific about those intentional things. What are some stuff you guys are going to do, both as individuals and as a family, to be intentional about connecting with God and each other this summer?
I know as a pastor, this probably sounds cliche or sounds obvious, but we're going to make sure that we stay connected to our church. Bayside has so many different things we offer, breakaway kids camp for summer camp for high schoolers and middle schoolers. But even if I weren't, I would hope that during the summertime, I would stay connected and keep that routine. Yeah. It's easy because you're traveling or you're going out of town not to keep that routine. But I think that making the decision that, man, I'm going to stay connected to my local church. I was actually talking to some middle school parents about this last week, and I was doing some research, and I found out that when kids go back to school in the fall, teachers have to spend 3 weeks reteaching what kids have already learned because they've lost momentum and they've forgotten. And I think what happens during the summertime is a lot of us lose momentum. So one of the things I think you should do in terms of your spiritual walk is to continue to attend church.
There it is, people.
Because there's a temptation.
On the flip side, radical new thinking from Stephanie, Jason, and Kurt. Go to church. Here's the thing. Hebrews says, do not give up the habit of meeting together unless you have a great summer plan.
Right, exactly. Then forget about it.
Honestly, it's funny how many people come into my office, and you get this as a pastor too, Jason. They go, I can't feel God. I can't feel God. And there's something wrong with God because I can't feel Him. So let me ask you, how often do you go to church? Well, we had a thing and there was a soccer and a thing and we missed. How often are you going? Like once a month, twice a month. When do you sit down and just go through the Lord's Prayer or tell God your concerns? Well, I've got this project at work. So what you're telling me is you don't go to church, you don't pray, you don't read your Bible, you never sit quietly and just think about the things of God, and you're shocked you cannot feel Him emotionally.
Right.
I'm shocked you're here right now and not a mass murderer. I'm shocked you still have some spiritual curiosity in you. Right. You're perfectly organized to get the result you're getting right now, which is you can't feel God.
Absolutely.
So there's something about our culture right now where we go, I want my freedom and I want my schedule and I don't want to be obligated to anything. And I go, it's back to your brushing your teeth thing. I was going, man, it's just like eating something green and hydrating your body and getting enough sleep. Get into worship. Expose yourself to God's word and watch as you build that into you and build that into your kids. That's something good. And then one last little thought on that go to church thing. And I'm sorry I'm talking too much here, but I couldn't be more fired about this topic. When your kids are in youth group all summer long, and when they're in camp, and when they're in church, and when they're hanging out at church before and after, they build the sort of friends, and they bring those friends into the classroom as opposed to showing up at the classroom and going, who's going to be my friend here?
Right.
And there's nothing better and more secure for kids socially to go, I got my group.
Yeah.
I'm accepted by that group. That group loves me. And by the way, that group is filled with affirmation for what's happening in my life spiritually.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up kids. I'm just so aware of that as having, we have 8-year-old twins, and constantly thinking about how is my behavior, what is it teaching my children? Because they're watching me, even when I don't think they're watching me.
Totally.
And oftentimes, like when we're done with school, we get our kids hyped up like, school's over, it's gonna be a great time. But if you stop church with your kids under the same kind of attitude of, school's over, now summer's gonna be fun, we don't have to worry about anything, and you stop church too, you are unintentionally and subliminally sending a message that church is kind of like this thing that we have to do, and summer is when we get to break from it.
Yes.
As opposed to, hey, church is a great thing that we do because it matters to us, it's important to us, and so we're always gonna keep it going. Like, that's never gonna, we don't take a break from church.
Right.
We take a break from those other things, but we don't put work and those things that may be stressful and put that in the same category as church.
Right.
So just specifically as individuals, now let's take the mom and dad and family out of it. Just you guys connecting to God. What are some specific ideas that we could advise everyone out there to try this summer to keep connected to God?
For me, I like to just shake things up a little bit. Like, I get bored with the same thing. So I talked about it in one of the previous episodes, is I used this year when I was being an at-home mom to kind of change my spiritual life. It started with me doing devotionals and looking for different devotionals on my app to read, and that was really great. And after I did that for a period of time, I thought, okay, how can I shake things up? It's always good to shock the system. So I said, okay, I'm gonna stop the devotionals and I'm gonna start reading this particular book of the Bible, and then just kind of amping it up a little bit. And so now I'm in the midst of reading the Bible in the year. But I just kind of lean into, when I get a little bit antsy, when I go, I kind of want to do something different, I don't stop my time, I just change it up.
That's good.
I don't stop doing something spiritual.
I really like that stuff.
I just do something different spiritual.
Yeah. I used to be on this kind of slavery of read the Bible through in a whole year, and I'm 5 chapters behind, and now I'm going to power read 20 chapters because God won't love me if I don't. And I realized the reason that was happening is because that got to be such a rote routine, and I was like, I'm going to take 6 months in one book of the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some commentaries on it. And it was really refreshing. And then that kind of got to be I'm doing 3 verses a day. I'm not really. And then I went back, and I just love that idea of going, whatever you have been doing, get a new gear, a new thing. New is fresh. What about you, Jace? What are you going to be doing?
For me, starting tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m., me and a group of guys are going to start meeting together. And we plan to do it throughout the entire summer. So because we have a busier schedule throughout the year, it's hard for me to get into a group. But in the summer, because things slow down a little bit, then I'm able to find a way to meet with a group of guys. 4 guys that will meet together, talk about life, talk about what's going on. Definitely read something together just for some nourishment. Also, what that does is that gives you some accountability outside of yourself.
Totally.
I enjoy being with groups of people, so connecting with these guys will be something that I look forward to just on a weekly basis. Also, I've picked up pretty thick book that somebody who I like recommended. I didn't plan on reading a book this length, and this morning I started reading it and just thought to myself, man, I just have to read 10 pages a day for 60 days. Nothing to it. 600-page book, but 10 pages a day I can do. So just setting goals like that and making sure that I'm staying fresh and keeping my mind healthy is something that I want to do. Another big thing Stephanie and I do, man, the funnest times in our relationship and in our marriage is when we step out and trust God and do something big in faith. Every single time we've done that, it just puts fuel on our relationship. It's like what God is saying is, when you trust me in faith, that I'm going to bless your relationship. So we always have some project or something that we're working on. For example, last year it was all about us moving to California. And so the summertime wasn't a time for us to slow down. We stayed extremely busy. We moved from Atlanta to California, but we had to put our house on the market. We had to find a house here. We had to get our kids enrolled in school. It was just a project that we worked on together. So for couples, I think figuring out something that you can do together as a couple that challenges your faith, that pushes you to have to trust in God. You know, like I think learning to trust on God in a crisis is a healthy spiritual discipline. And so we had a crisis kind of created for us last year in making the move out here, and it just did something healthy for our relationship. Our relationship is always best when there's something big going on that we have to trust God for.
You're in a foxhole together fighting towards the same goal.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest ways you could bless your kids is not making summer all about your kids.
Yeah.
Well, they're watching you build
Yeah.
your relationship. Their security's going through the roof. They're proud of you. It's just so much better if you go, I kid with my kids all the time going, I love you so much, but not as much as her.
Right.
Because you're going to leave me, and she's not.
Yeah.
In fact, I just had you so you could unload the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And they do exactly. They laugh because they know I'm joking.
Yeah.
But I love the reading thing. That's my go-to for the summer. I take a little bit more time for study. I try to, a lot of people that come out of their school experience and they see study as an evil thing. I come out of the school experience and go, now I get to study whatever I want.
Exactly.
I'm in charge. And enriching yourself and learning, the joy of learning. So I'll get an audio book, and I've got a few long drives this summer. I'm going to go visit my brothers, and I'll listen to that audio book the whole time. I think 2 summers ago, I did 3 apologetics books. In fact, I got one of them here. I did Making Sense of God and The Reason for God in the car. And man, I learned so much.
Yeah.
And I'll do that while I'm working out. And then a friend of mine, he used to say, you could tell a lot by a person by what they read, but you could tell even more by what they reread. So every summer, I kind of go, what book would I naturally not reread? Because I don't like reruns, but it would be good for me. So about every 3rd summer, I'll reread this book, The Master Plan of Evangelism by Robert Coleman. It's really about not what Jesus said, but how he treated people that led to this massive movement called Christianity. And then this is the one that I should reread it every summer, and it usually goes every other year for me. It's A Tale of Three Kings by Gene Edwards. It's just a genius study of the life of David and his sons and Saul. And this book, like, I always kind of hesitate before I read it. Then while I'm reading it, I'm going, I'm Saul. Oh, now I'm evil David. I'm unfaithful David. Now I'm Absalom. And it's just a self-correcting, emotionally healthy. The beauty of this book is as you're reading it, you go, I'm not the only one that goes through these authority, relationship, navigations. This is common to every leader, every generation, from David, from the Old Testament forward. So it's a super healthy one. So I just go, what should it'd be good for your soul to reread that one, because the first time you read it, God moved in your life. So
I also want to talk about like that inactivity is an activity. So
good, Stephanie.
in counseling, we talk a lot about silence. Like in a therapy session, how powerful silence can be and how people have a tendency to feel silence because they're uncomfortable with it. But sometimes the most powerful things come out when you just let the awkwardness of silence go in and you just get past and you let it. A lot of times that's when a client can have a cathartic experience, or when there's a thought that was ruminating in their minds that they didn't know if they could say, but now you gave the space to say it because you're not talking or filling that space. And I feel that same way with God, is sometimes I just sit there, and I'm kind of like an anxious person by nature. I can be highly anxious. And so those ruminating thoughts of, what about this? What about that? And I'll sit down sometimes and I go, God, my thoughts are so loud that they're blocking you out. So here's what I'm going to do. And people can do it. Sometimes I can do it for 1 minute. Sometimes I can do it for 5 minutes. Sometimes I can do it for longer. And I sit there and I'm like, okay, God, I want you to take over my thoughts. Take them out, and I want you to fill them with what you want me to know. And I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm just going to sit in silence. And I usually do it when everybody's asleep at my house, and like the house is dark, and I might get up in the middle of the night, or I haven't slept yet, and I'll just lay there and I go, okay, okay, God, this is when I want you to take over my thoughts and feel that. And stillness and silence can be a powerful tool. There's been times where just ideas come in. I've had scriptures come in that I didn't even know was there. And like, I remember one time God told me to read Isaiah. I forgot which one I highlighted it. And I was like, okay. So I opened it up and I read it. And it was just like, it spoke exactly to what I needed. I was having trouble sleeping. And it was a part in Isaiah where it said that he sealed their eyes shut. And literally, I read it. I closed down the app and I had the deepest sleep I ever had. And it was a very intimate moment where God actually spoke to me very clearly.
That's worth the price of admission of listening to this podcast right there. And I had a friend in my small group, we were talking about this question. And so I said, what are you going to do this summer? And he said, I'm going to be more responsive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit, to stop during my workday and pray and be silent. He goes, I have such a busy workday, and I've sensed the Holy Spirit going, stop right now, close your door, get on your knees, just sit before me. And I don't do it. And when I do it, I never regret it. Yeah. And I thought, that is such a great, that's great for every season and any season of just going, Lord, I don't just check off my devotions in the morning. I hear you at night when you tell me to be quiet. I hear you in 3 in the afternoon when I've got appointment after appointment still on the docket. And that's a hard one for me, Stephanie. I don't know if I'm able to. I don't like the silence, as you could tell by me talking right now. So we've been kind of talking about the, like let's have fun this summer and we leave God behind. Let's flip that. What about? Could godly people have fun? And what's the role of joy? And what can we do to make this summer joyful?
Oh yeah, you better have fun. I think some people think that fun is anti-God.
Totally.
But I think God gave us these things for our pleasure.
Yes.
If you think about the original design for man was not to be working and work was going to be oppressive and you were going to hate work. That wasn't even what God's design was. However, I think that we have to get back to the place where we do have fun. So this summer, sure, we're going to stay connected to our local church, but we're going to Atlanta to see our family in June. In July, we're going to make a trip down to San Diego. When we go on our vacations, kind of a friend of ours, Scott Center, said, make the most of it. Do everything that you want to do. You'll never get this time back with your kids again. So if you want to go to Disney, go to Disney. If you want to rent a Tesla because you want to enjoy that car, do that. Just saying, enjoy what you're doing. So I think one of the blessings that we have from God is that He has given us all of these things for our enjoyment.
Yes.
And there is nothing anti-religious or anti-God about enjoying the lives that God has given to us. Really, I think one of the ways we tell God thank you is to enjoy what He's given us.
Yeah. Well, you can't be strong. The Bible tells us you can't be strong without joy. The joy of the Lord is our strength. It's what you have joy in,
right?
Not whether or not you have joy. And I'd say it's completely anti-theological to say that you're somehow closer to God without joy. The closer we get to our Creator and more aligned with Him, the more joy and peace our soul is going to feel.
Yeah. Let me talk about a simple thing that I've been doing too recently is just creating a gratitude list. Taking time when I wake up in the morning, let me just type out 10 things that I'm thankful for today. And I think if you make it a point to do that while on vacation or while traveling with your family, even engage your kid in that activity, it sounds so simple and plain. You're like, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to do anything for my spiritual walk. Yeah. But if you start thanking God for the things that He's doing for you, I promise you that you're going to get closer to Him in the process.
Yes.
Because if I said every day, I'm going to call you and tell you 10 things I'm thankful to you about, you're going to get on that call and you're going to be there every day to make sure that you want to.
And you're already one of my favorite people, but you're going to go up in my book.
Absolutely. I think the same happens to us with God, that He shows up when we show up with hearts of gratitude. Parents, just think about your kids. If every morning your kid told you, hey, I'm going to tell you 10 things, Mom, Dad, that I'm thankful for.
Oh my goodness.
Lose my mind.
Oh my goodness.
You would, as a parent, you would get arrogant.
I'd be given more stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be walking around going, I'm writing my parenting book. How to make grateful kids.
Exactly. So I think that's just a simple practice that you can do.
That's great. Gratitude list. A couple years ago, we did something real simple, and I got this from who's your favorite researcher on
Brene Brown?
Brene Brown.
I knew that was going to come up.
It's my pastor, Pastor Brene Brown.
It's the concentric circles. What do you call it when the circles meet in the middle?
Venn diagram?
Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Venn diagram. So she said, we're going on vacation. We're going to come up with common things that give our family joy to do together. Because, our kids are separated by 5 and 4 years. They're adults now. There's all sorts of things working against us having joy as a family. And I thought, we're going to try this. And my wife and kids were skeptical. Oh, we're so different. So we drew these things. I said, okay, list 10 activities that you want to do this summer that are going to be fun for you. And the first 5 on everyone's list, completely different. The last 3 or so were the same. And it was, we want to go to the beach, we want to do art, and we want to play. There was a couple of different games. And so we go, we're going to organize some family time around those three things.
Good. Yeah.
And by the way, it was wonderful. And we just laughed and we had fun and other good things. Another real practical idea, and I stole this from another guy in my small group. We were asked this question, what's your favorite thing to do? And I said, honestly, I love to fish, I love to golf, I love to study. But my ultimate favorite thing to do is have a great meal with friends and family. Like you're sitting around and the food's good and the conversation's good and the laughter's good and the talk is good. Yeah. It's like this podcast. That could be so, and then he said, we did that and here's what we did. We went around and asked each one of our kids and their spouses, what is your dream for yourself? And then everyone went around and said, what is your dream for that person in the family? And he said they meant to do it as just one activity at the first dinner of this 3-day trip they did. And he said they got through 3 people the first night. So they got out of breakfast next morning and they said, all right, next person. And then lunch that day, the next person. And then 3 per. And he said it created this thing. And he said, this was the revelation for me. I learned so much about my kids that I thought I knew that I didn't know. And I learned so much about their relationship with each other, about what they dream for each other. It's that simple thing of going around, hey, everyone, what's your dream? Yeah. And then let me tell you what I see in you and my dream is for you. You do that for 48 hours, you're going to think back to this summer and go, it was one of the greatest and godliest summers we've ever had.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, my friends.
We were trying to make you sit in silence. It didn't work.
No. There is no silence. We're going to do a brand new podcast called the Stephanie Kane Silence Hour.
Just an hour of breathing.
It's going to be about 49 minutes of silence, and then there's going to be an epiphany right at the end. You just have to watch this.
I can do that.
It is absolutely true. That's when you think of the thing that you didn't think of.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts from either of you on having a joy-filled, spiritually connected summer.
Yeah, pre-decide today that this summer is going to be one of the most spirit-filled summers of your life. I guarantee if you do that and you ask God to make it that it'll happen.
Amen. Pre-decide today.
Document.
Love it.
Every time you have it. I'm not talking about social media. You don't need the social response. I'm talking about your personal documentation that you can go back to.
Hannah, the photographer, said
print your pictures. Yep.
So posting them,
print them.
You can do it for cheap.
Yep.
That's old school, but it works.
Yep.
So awesome. Hey, we're praying for you to have the most connected, funnest. I'm praying that you laugh so hard this summer that some of your picnic comes up out your left nostril. And it's a little gross, but it is true. I want you just to laugh and have fun. And I want you to feel the closeness of God. I want you to have a moment in your backyard that no one else sees but you and God, where He just tells you again and again how much He loves you and what He has for your life. And so take some of these ideas and some of your own and have a great spiritual summer. By the way, you know someone who's not going to have a great spiritual summer the way they're headed right now, or they may not be heading in the right direction. Would you do me a favor? Would you share this podcast with them just to get the silence thing that Stephanie said? Honestly, would you just take a minute right now and spread the word? The mission of The Flip Side is to get us to think about biblical truth all week long. You know someone who needs that, so please, I'm asking you, share, like, follow, subscribe to The Flip Side. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week on The Flip Side.